Chapter 28. Hashtag Iwagakure, Stone Village, hashtag. Iwagakure no Sato, or the Hidden Stone Village, is one of the Great Five Shinobi nations. Their leader is called Tsuchikage or Earth Shadow, and their current one is Inoki. Inoki is a very short old man with a triangular beard and a mustache that has angular corners, a big red nose and thick eyebrows. The top of his head is completely bald, although he has long white hair on the lower half of his head, which is styled in a traditional chamage haircut, the back of which is tied with a yellow ribbon into a topknot. He wears a green and yellow coat with a red collar. Underneath he wears the traditional Iwagakure outfit consistent of a light green version of Iwagakure's flak jacket and mesh armor. He however has both his sleeves of his shirt, but kept the single lapel on his right side. Along with this he wears sandals. The Stone Village is well known for the rock-hard attitude and extreme loyalty of their shinobi. Once their leader issues an order, they will follow it blindly even if it costs their lives. The standard attire for shinobi from this village consists of red outfit, which can have sleeves, a lapel which is usually found on the side without a sleeve, and a brown flak jacket. They also tend to wear mesh armor around their ankles. Iwagakure ninja seem to specialize in earth release techniques. Speaking of the village itself, it's located in the midst of some rocky mountains. These mountains provide natural defenses, making the village a stronghold. Unlike Konoha, the houses are built completely out of stone instead of wood, making them more durable and resistant in case of attack. Currently we find that Tsuchikage in his office navigating the maze of paperwork that seems to plague every kage. His office is located in the biggest structure on the village, which all of them are cone-shaped. "Curse this damn paperwork," that Tsuchikage said, cursing this paperwork with all his might. He was half tempted to vaporize everything around him, which wouldn't be too hard. Why it wouldn't be too hard is very simple. The Tsuchikage is the last known wielder of the dust release. Although technically it isn't a Kekkai Genkai, one must have affinity for earth, fire, and wind, which isn't very common for shinobi to have natural affinities for more than two elements. Inoki is a very proud, headstrong, and boastful individual. Due of his age, he is also somewhat frail, with constant complaints about hip and back pains. Although he's old, similar to the Hokage in fact, he refuses to step down from the Kage position until he finds a worthy heir to his position. The Tsuchikage picked a paper, and it was a simple report of a simple D-rank mission. He quickly scanned through it and stamped it, placing it on the other end of the table. This was his routine when not sleeping. He would spend his days reading and stamping reports. He was broken from his work by a knock of the door. "Come in," Inoki said. The door opened and a man entered. He was wearing the standard IWA attire with the exception that the red shirt went all the up to his chin. He had black eyes with brown hair stylized with a small ponytail. "Good morning, Tsuchikage-sama," the man said, greeting his leader and kneeling in front of him. "Misato, need something?" Inoki asked. Misato was in fact the village's spy master. The spy master's job, like the name states, is to keep tabs on the other villages and other information that might seem relevant to his village's safety and welfare. "Yes, Tsuchikage-sama," Misato replied, standing up. "We received a letter from the Sand addressed directly to you and came in their fastest carrier, and also we heard of something interesting in Konoha," Misato explained, handing the letter over to the Tsuchikage. The letter had already been scanned to make sure it wasn't an explosive tag or other trap. "Tsuchikage-dano, we are sending this message in our fastest carrier as the situation is very strenuous to us and we would like a reply as fast as possible. 5 days ago our village allied itself with the Sound Village and launched an invasion against Konoha. The invasion didn't go as planned and we, along with the Sound, were defeated. It appears the Konoha had somehow found about the invasion prior to it and was able to prepare. We have severely underestimated their power and we placed faith on someone of questionable integrity, a mistake on our part. According to our reports, Konoha's Jinchuriki was responsible for defeating the fully released Shikaku but also killed our Kage along with 200 of our own. A more detailed report is attached to the letter. We took a crippling blow to our forces and as such we would propose an alliance with your village as it holds no love for Konoha. This would be a complete alliance, meaning more commercial routes and agreements and of course military help if needed. We have also dispatched a letter to the Earth Daimyo explaining the situation as the Wind Daimyo as agreed with an alliance should you accept. Yours faithfully, Suna Council." The Tsuchikage read the letter a couple of times so he wouldn't miss anything. So they let themselves be guided by Orochimaru. Fools, Inoki thought. Placing your trust on a nuke nin is hardly ever a good idea, and Orochimaru didn't exactly have the best reputation. Judging from the letter, they must fear a possible invasion if they are requesting an alliance with us of all people, Inoki mused in thought. IWA, much like Kumo, were independent and they didn't particularly like alliances. Interesting, Inoki thought out loud. Sir. Masato said. The Sand wants an alliance with us, Inoki said, but Masato didn't seem particularly surprised. You don't seem surprised, Inoki stated. I've heard some very interesting news from our spies in Konoha, but I was going to inform you after you had read the letter, Masato stated. Do you have the reports? Inoki asked and Masato nodded, handing them the reports of their invasion based on the survivors. Inoki quickly read through the invasion reports and it was basic stuff on how Suna got their asses handed to them and they ran with their tails between their legs. He kept on reading until he found the part on Konoha's Jinchuriki, someone named Uzumaki Naruto. Apparently the Jinchuriki was nothing more than a brat of 14 years old. And yet this genin managed to kill a fifth of the Suna's forces with a single jutsu. He had displayed high level of ninjutsu and fuinjutsu. Fuinjutsu, it seems that Konoha still bets on that, Inoki thought as he continued on reading the letter until he found a picture of said Jinchuriki. His eyes widened and his blood ran cold when he saw what the Jinchuriki looked like. He still couldn't forget those cold blue eyes and that spiky golden hair. He felt as if he was staring at the Namikaze once again. It can't be, Inoki thought. How he despised the Namikaze. Minato was the reason Konoha won the Third Shinobi War by slaughtering 1,000 of their shinobi in just a couple of seconds. And now Inoki was staring at some kid who looked just like him except he had longer hair and whiskers marks on his face, but the similarities were too much to ignore. Masato, Inoki said, getting his attention, what news have you heard from Konoha? Inoki quickly asked to see if he had anything on this Naruto. Apparently Konoha has a Senju heir which is none other than the Jinchuriki Naruto, Masato explained, but the kicker is that this Naruto is the son of Namikaze Minato, the Yellow Flash, Masato stated, confirming Inoki's biggest fears. So the bastard sealed the Kyuubi inside his own son, Inoki said. Namikaze had reproduced and unleashed another Yellow Flash upon this world. Inoki would have his revenge, he would avenge his son's death by the Yellow Flash by killing his son in return. But there's more, Masato said and Inoki focused on him. Senju Naruto, the son of Namikaze Naruto, is apparently the grandson of Uchiha Madara, which would mean that the Namikaze was Madara's son. Inoki finished by him in a disbelieving tone and Masato nodded. Inoki also despised Madara, sometimes even more than the Yellow Flash. When he was younger and they had just signed a treaty with Konoha, Madara had the ghoul of stating that IWA was nothing more than Konoha's slaves. It seemed as IWA had a very grim past with those of Uchiha blood. After all, IWA wanted Madara dead and they got that, and then Namikaze appears as if to finish his father's job of killing IWA shinobi. To think the Namikaze would be Madara's son, Inoki said, gritting his teeth. However, I do find it strange that no one ever knew of his Sharingan, Inoki mused out loud. The son of the most powerful Uchiha to ever live would without a doubt awaken his Sharingan, but they never knew of it. In fact, they didn't know of the Namikaze's parents until 14 years after his death. It seems Konoha has a Namikaze heir, but they stacked all their cards into one person. He's both the last Senju, as Tsunade's is past reproducing age, and the last Namikaze, Inoki thought as he rubbed his beard. Or Uchiha, I should say, Inoki corrected. What are we going to do regarding Suna and the Namikaze bastard? Masato asked. He too, along with all of IWA, had no love towards Minato, and finding out he was the son of Uchiha Madara didn't exactly help. We can't do any direct actions against the Yellow Flash's brat right now as it would raise too much attention. Let it cool down a bit before, Inoki explained. The world had just been informed of a Namikaze heir and trying to kill him right now would raise too much suspicion towards IWA, so it could wait. Regarding Suna, I'm tempted to accept their alliance, Inoki said. What are your thoughts? Inoki asked Masato. Unlike Konoha or Suna, IWA as a full dictatorship with Inoki holding all the power. But even then he would seek out advice on his most trusted shinobi. I think we should accept. We have nothing to lose, and I've heard that Konoha doesn't intend to attack them, so this must be just some guarantee against Kumo since Kiri is still in war, Masato explained. I concur with your assessment, Inoki agreed and quickly wrote a reply to Suna's request. After Suna had chosen their new Kazekage, they would have a formal meeting with both Kages to discuss the full terms of their alliance and iron out any details. Send it to Suna, Inoki said, giving the letter to Masato, who sealed it. What about the Senju? Masato asked. He had nothing against the Senju clan itself, but knowing that he was the son of the Yellow Flash and Madara's grandson sealed his fate. Like I said, let things cool down for now, Inoki explained, in the meantime put him in the bingo book. I want him captured alive so he can be executed in front of the whole village to show them what happens when they mess with Iwa, Inoki said grinning. That would be his last act as Tsuchikage, killing the Namikaze's brat. What rank and bounty shall we give? Masato asked. Based on the reports and knowing he's the bastard's son, give him. Hashtag Naruto and company hashtag. It was the day after Tsunade and Naruto had talked with their family, and currently we find them in some empty field training. Since Tsunade had agreed to meet Orochimaru and with him injured they had the golden opportunity to end him once and for all. This world would be a better place without that snake laying around. Hinata was training with Shizen and Tsunade. Since she asked for it, they might as well start it already. So you want to become a medic, nin, right? Tsunade asked and Hinata nodded. Why? Tsunade asked as he never got the full story from her. Because I prefer to heal people than hurt them, Hinata replied, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Don't get me wrong, I know when it's necessary to hurt or kill someone, but I prefer to make people feel better, Hinata explained. She never liked killing as she was too kind for that, but she knew that sometimes it was for the best. Naruchan really chose well, Tsunade said, smirking, making Hinata slightly blush. Alright brat, I'll train you. From now on you call me Tsunade-sensei when I'm training you, got that? Tsunade asked. Hi Tsunade-sensei, Hinata replied without a shred of doubt in her voice. For starters, tell me what you know, Tsunade said. I have very good chakra control and knowledge of the human anatomy and even better understanding of poisons and antidotes, but also medicinal herbs. I don't know any healing techniques, so I just use some healing cream I make, Hinata explained, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Poisons, antidotes and medicinal herbs? Tsunade asked and Hinata nodded. That isn't covered in the academy, so I assume you studied that on the side? Tsunade asked and Hinata nodded once again. It's a very good start. Now let's see how good your chakra control is, Tsunade said and picked a small brown pouch from somewhere. Here, put your palms up, Tsunade said and Hinata complied. Tsunade then emptied the pouch onto Hinata's hands. From the pouch came a bunch of multicolored sand. The sand was composed of 4 colors, blue, brown, red and green. Now I want you to separate the sand by color and align them in your palm using only chakra, Tsunade explained. If you can do this in less than 5 seconds means that your chakra control is very good and on par with Shizun and more than enough for a few medical techniques. If you make it, I'll show a few others that are only known by medics to further increase it, Tsunade explained, and Hinata got to it. Hinata did a few tries just so she could get a feel for the sand. The timer started and Hinata started channeling chakra to her hands. It had to be a very minuscule amount, otherwise the sand would simply fly off her hands. She decided to split the sand by colors, starting on blue then going for brown, red and green. After the sand was divided by color into equal globs, she slowly started aligning them in a straight line. Once she was done, she cleaned a bit of sweat from her forehead. She never had to concentrate so much in her life for such a simple thing. 6 seconds, that's very, very good, Tsunade said, impressed by Hinata. This kind of control was Kage level for fighting, but for medical applications it was necessary so much more than that. Just out of curiosity, what are your affinities? Tsunade asked. I have both wind and water, but also a small lightning affinity. Due to my usage, the water is my strongest, Hinata explained. Even better. Water affinity is the best for medical use, Tsunade stated. I'll show you how to use the mystical palm technique that speeds up the body's natural healing process, Tsunade explained, and Hinata nodded, getting right into it. That day went by without much trouble. By the afternoon, Hinata could maintain the mystical palm technique indefinitely, or at least until she ran out of chakra. Tsunade had warned of the dangers should she send too much chakra with the technique. If Hinata used too much chakra in this technique, instead of healing the victim it would render them into a comatose state. Now this time it was Shizun that decided to teach Hinata on poisons. Tsunade knew everything about poisons, but she was more turned to countering them instead of creating them like Shizun and Hinata liked to. What ways do you have to deliver poison? Shizun asked. The only way I know is to use Senbon or other weapon coated with the poison I want, Hinata explained, and Shizun nodded. Then I'll show you this one, Shizun said and broke away from Hinata, getting clear from her. Dokujiri, poison mist, Shizun said just before pumping her lungs with chakra and expelling a thick purple mist from her mouth. Just by looking at it anyone knew that it would be better to get the hell out of Dodge. Just by inhaling a small bit of it would be fatal. To do this you must convert your chakra into a certain chemical that once expelled, it mixes with the air converting it into the poison mist. So in fact you breathing a chemical and not the poison itself, making it safer for you to use, Shizun explained and proceeded to teach Hinata how to transform her chakra into different chemicals to achieve different poisons. Boom. An explosion echoed through the whole field and Hinata turned to the left to see smoke rising on the horizon. Looks like Naruto is having trouble, Hinata said, giggling to herself. Hashtag with Naruto hashtag. Not too far away from where Hinata, Shizun and Tsunade were, was Naruto also doing his training. He had already did his morning warm-up routine, so now we find him working on his Rasengan. He is currently trying to create a bigger Rasengan like Jiraiya said. Jiraiya is currently missing, and by missing I mean he doing his research for his next novel. And by research I mean peeking on the local hot springs or some other place where one could find some unfortunate beauties with low amount of clothing on. Boom. An explosion echoed through the field as the Rasengan he had in his hands destabilized and exploded, dispelling the clones and destroying the ground. Damn it, this is not working, Naruto said, frustrated. He made a cross sign and replaced the shadow clones that were destroyed. He didn't understand what he was missing. He managed to learn the Rasengan rather quickly, but this was proving difficult. Naruto started once again a normal Rasengan and stopped when it stabilized. He began pumping more chakra into the small sphere. The sphere began glowing and was quickly approaching twice the normal chakra. Just a bit more, Naruto said, and a drop of sweat fell from his face. Boom. That's it, back to the beginning, Naruto said, shaking his head. What can I do? The outer layer isn't strong enough to hold so much chakra, Naruto was thinking as he tried to figure it out. Then he remembered his fight against Shikaku and when he used his Bijidama. The layer can't hold so much power. If the chakra density is too big from such a small layer and I must increase the power, the only way is to increase its volume, Naruto thought, and concluded that to maintain the stability he had to reinforce the outer layer by making it bigger and larger. He began to do just that. Naruto started to gather chakra and stopped at the normal Rasengan. Now, instead of just pumping chakra, he began to add chakra and expand the outer layer simultaneously. The results were instantaneous. The ball kept on increasing while maintaining its stability. Naruto was pumping more and more chakra and the sphere was almost reaching 4 times the normal amount, and Naruto decided to stop there and see if he could hold it there. Looks like you made some progress, Jiraiya said as he entered the field. His cheeks were slightly colored, meaning he was drinking at some point. I finally got it, Erosenin, Naruto replied, and Jiraiya sighed at the nickname. His mother used to call him the exact same thing when she was still alive. How much chakra did you put there? Jiraiya asked to see if his big Rasengan met the standards. 4 times as much, Naruto replied, and Jiraiya nodded. 4 times the normal Rasengan was just fine. It should be just fine. Use a shadow clone as clash it with mine, Jiraiya said, and Naruto dispelled the remaining clones, forming only one. The clone made an Udama Rasengan and dashed towards the waiting Jiraiya. The glowing blue orbs connected with each other and the ground started shaking from the energy being released. Neither sphere wanted to be overrun, but slowly Naruto's Rasengan started to waver and the whole ground exploded. When the smoke cleared, Jiraiya's clone was still standing although he was smoking. Your big Rasengan is good. You just need to use it a couple of times to get a feel for it, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded, going back to his training. Why don't you take a break? You've been at it for hours, aren't you tired? Jiraiya asked. It was almost nightfall, meaning Naruto has been training his Rasengan for a couple of hours now. Don't you know me? Naruto replied, grinning towards him, and Jiraiya just shook his head. It's getting dark. How about we go for some dinner? Jiraiya asked and knew Naruto wouldn't refuse. After all, one of the things Naruto liked most after Hinata and training was eating. They all regrouped and headed towards some local restaurant. #restaurant #. They were all eating peacefully since they weren't in a hurry, and they decided to plan what to do against Orochimaru. Planning against a Kage-level shinobi would hardly work, especially against someone as slippery as Orochimaru. What are we going to against Orochibaka? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya chuckled. Naruto called him exactly the same thing Jiraiya once did. After all, they were once teammates and almost brothers. Tsunade hummed in thought with her hand in her chin. I can fake healing him and try to kill him with a medical technique, Tsunade explained. Are you sure it will work? Jiraiya asked. If it failed, she might find herself in a compromising position. This technique looks like the mystical palm, so it should fool him as he has no advanced knowledge on medical techniques. It works by infusing a poisonous chakra of sorts into his system. Once inserted, the poison instantaneously spreads through the whole network, destroying almost instantly. Tsunade explained. He should drop dead in a matter of seconds, Tsunade said, grinning. What if he sees through? Naruto asked. He will know that you sided with Konoha and most likely try to kill you, Naruto explained. The best we can do if she is discovered is to try and lead them into an open field to battle, Jiraiya explained. Battling a Kage-level shinobi in the middle of a town would most likely destroy everything in it. Especially someone of Orochimaru's caliber. There are various types of Kage and Orochimaru stands in the higher division. Okay. Imagine we can lure him out onto an empty field, Naruto said. Then what? Naruto asked. We smoke his ass, Tsunade simply said, and everyone's sweat dropped at the simplicity of their plan. Good enough for me, Naruto said, and everyone went back to eating. ## 6 days later ##. The sun was shining high in the air, engulfing the whole town in a golden aura. It was around noon and Orochimaru was calmly walking towards his destination with his most trusted henchman/sidekick by his side, also known as Yakushi Kabuto. They suddenly stopped as they were in the place they agreed to meet Tsunade. Not even a few minutes had passed and Orochimaru could see Tsunade approaching in the horizon. He smirked at the thought that his offer had been accepted. He never doubted that Tsunade would refuse it. He knew she would give anything to see them again, even if it was only one more time just to say goodbye. Little did Orochimaru know that Tsunade had already got her wish to see her family once again. Orochimaru was even more satisfied that Tsunade came alone. It further confirmed his suspicion that she accepted by dumping her apprentice. Do you have your answer, Tsunade? Orochimaru asked, smirking, and she simply nodded, faking a sad mood. If I heal your arm, can you really bring them back? Tsunade asked, and Orochimaru just nodded. Where's your necklace? Orochimaru asked, surprised she didn't have it on. Shit, Tsunade thought, but remained calm and with a saddened aura. Why should it matter? Tsunade asked, and Orochimaru shrugged it off. Give me your arm, Tsunade said as she slowly walked towards Orochimaru. She flexed her hands forward and they started glowing green. To anyone else it seemed like a normal healing technique. Just before she reached Orochimaru, a kunai was thrown at her, making her jump back. What's the meaning of this, Kabuto? Orochimaru asked, angry. That is a assignation technique very similar to the mystical palm. She was trying to kill you, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto explained, and Orochimaru growled. How cunning of you, Tsunade. Trying to kill me when I had my guard down, too bad for you, I have powerful allies by my side. Orochimaru replied, chuckling. It appears you have sided with Konoha, and I know now the fate of your necklace. You most likely gave it to Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said. Like you will leave this town alive, Tsunade said, smirking, and without thought dashed towards both of them. She jumped in the air and brought her heel down, smashing it into the ground and vaporizing it. Time for plan B, Tsunade thought, and began to chase them off town and driving them into some empty field. This is it, Orochimaru, Tsunade said, smirking. What can you do? Orochimaru replied, chuckling. You are alone against both of us, and Kabuto isn't to be underestimated. He's at the level of Hatake Kakashi, Orochimaru said, smirking. I'm not alone, Tsunade said, taking a kunai from her clothes and sending it to the ground. The moment the kunai connect, there was a bright flash of yellow, and Jiraiya, Hinata, Shizune, and Naruto were seen standing there side by side with Tsunade. How about these odds? Tsunade smugly pointed out. Tisk, Orochimaru replied. How nice of you to join us, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said, licking his lips, making Naruto shiver. How's the arm? Naruto innocently asked, and Orochimaru scowled. Long time no see, Orokibaka, Jiraiya said, and Naruto chuckled. Jiraiya, Orochimaru said, watching his once teammate. Let's get this over with, Tsunade said before elbowing Jiraiya to the side, making him fall to the ground, and started dashing towards Orochimaru and Kabuto. Tsunade was running when Orochimaru quickly bit his thumb, drawing blood, and threw it at Tsunade. The blood connected with her face and she hesitated momentarily. Kabuto took the opportunity and using his chakra scalpels he sliced through the most important muscles in her legs. He was about to cut her throat when he was almost blinded by a yellow flash. Naruto instantly appeared above Tsunade as he had marked her and everyone else. Naruto used Tsunade's shoulder for support and kicked Kabuto in the shoulder, sending his tumbling to the ground. Naruto kicked Kabuto and continued his momentum. He turned mid-air and locked eyes with Orochimaru. His normal Sharingan quickly shifted to his Menjikyu. Orochimaru sensed his chakra spike and was about to jump away when Naruto said, Amaterasu. Orochimaru's body erupted in black flames and he fell to the ground shaking trying to extinguish the powerful flames. Naruto quickly flashed back to Jiraiya with Tsunade on her toes. She was slightly shaken up from seeing the blood, but it appears her talk with her loved ones helped to the point she didn't become catatonic. She dropped to the ground and Shizune along with Hinata started healing her the best they could. Do you think it was enough? Naruto asked. Hardly, I don't think he will go down with just that, Jiraiya asked and Naruto extended his senses. He could easily see something being burned with his Amaterasu flames and Kabuto was getting up. Jump! Naruto yelled and everyone split away from their current position as Orochimaru's head bursted from the ground with a sword in his mouth. Naruto looked at the blade and saw it dripping some purple substance meaning the blade was coated with poison. They jumped away and regrouped just to see the rest of Orochimaru's body coming out of the ground unharmed. Naruto focused his eyes towards his flames and they were still there meaning it wasn't some clone. How did you avoid the Amaterasu flames? Naruto asked. He knew for a fact that these flames couldn't be put out and a simple kawarimi wouldn't work as the flames wouldn't leave his body. He shed his skin, Jiraiya explained as Orochimaru had some sticky residue in his skin. I remember, Naruto said. He did the same thing back in the Forest of Death. He vomited himself out of his body. That's the best way to describe it, Naruto said slightly disgusted by the jutsu. Yeah, he was always a disgusting bastard, Jiraiya stated. Why don't you join us Naruto-kun? Kabuto asked out of nowhere. Why would I do that? Naruto rhetorically asked. There is nothing you can offer me that would make me leave my home, Naruto said. You can offer you power, Kabuto replied. I have plenty of power, Naruto said grinning. How about we bring back your mother and father? Orochimaru replied smirking. You are a fool Orokibaka, Naruto replied and he raised an eyebrow. I know how to the Edo Tensei so I could bring my mother back if I wanted to however my father is sealed inside the god of death's stomach and we both know the Edo Tensei can't bring his soul back, Naruto explained and they stared at him. There's nothing you can offer me, Naruto said before picking his fan from his back. Katan, Zakaku, Cranium Carver, Naruto said and sent a small fireball towards Orochimaru. However this ball was going way too fast. Orochimaru and Kabuto jumped away but the ball collided with the ground and exploded in flames scorching both of them. Just as Orochimaru was about to touch the ground Tsunade appeared behind him. Hi there, Tsunade said with a very sweet smile before cocking her fist and slamming it against Orochimaru's chest. He was sent flying into the ground and when he crashed it formed a crater due to the force of the impact. A single punch, one punch and she broke all of my ribs and melted my insides, Orochimaru thought just before he shed his skin once again coming out unharmed. That is going to be a problem, Hinata said as she watched with her Byakugan and noticed that Orochimaru was once again unharmed. Naruto, Hinata can you both handle 4 eyes? Jiraiya asked and Naruto just stared at him with his eyebrows raised. Of course you can, Jiraiya said deadpanned. Naruto and Hinata both ran towards Kabuto while Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune would deal with Orochimaru. Orochimaru seethed his teeth as his odds weren't looking too bright. Apparently Tsunade wasn't afraid of blood anymore making him being against 2 Kage-level shinobi, Shizune he could ignore. He looked towards his sidekick and he knew he wouldn't stand a chance. Naruto had enough raw power to easily match Kage-level shinobi. You know you don't stand a chance right? Naruto asked. Oh my, such arrogance, Kabuto replied smirking while pushing his glasses up. It isn't arrogance when you can back it up, Naruto simply replied shrugging his shoulders. Besides you are up against 2, Naruto explained. That may be, but I won't go down easily, Kabuto said and began running towards both of them. Naruto and Hinata teamed up and ran towards him as well meeting him at halfway. They immediately engaged in taijutsu. Usually when someone is fighting more than one person at the time, sometimes it might be easier to hit one of them as they can confuse and stumble on each other. However this didn't apply to Naruto or Hinata. They trained together for years and were in love with each other. They were the meaning of teamwork, their stances flowed together like water in a river. Each one covering the other's blind spots. When one of them attacked the other would slightly fall back into a defensive stance. Kabuto couldn't do anything unless become a punching for this duo. Both of them were amazingly skilled in taijutsu with Hinata's being deadlier. Hinata side-stepped a sloppy punch from Kabuto. She grabbed him by his wrist and tried to break it with a twist. However Kabuto twisted his body along with it, flipping in the air preventing his wrist from being broken. Naruto took the opportunity of Kabuto's being in the air the kicked in the chest sending him tumbling to the ground. He easily got up and started healing himself. After he was ready he channeled chakra to his hands and they started to glow and buzz like a saw. Both Naruto and Hinata looked at the chakra in his hands with their Dojutsu and they both could see that it was definitely some kind of knife made purely with chakra. "Be careful Naruto," Hinata said and Naruto turned to her. "Those are chakra scalpels used to cut muscle and other tissues of the human body during operations," Hinata explained. "So, don't let the hands touch you, right?" Naruto asked and she nodded. "Yes, let me try something," Hinata said and stepped in front of Naruto. Hinata pumped her lungs full of chakra and said, "Dokujiri, poison mist." A purple fog came from her mouth and headed towards Kabuto who was engulfed in a cloud of venom. "He hid underground," Hinata said as she had seen Kabuto with her Byakugan. Kabuto suddenly emerged from the ground just beside her and tried an uppercut. Hinata had already expected such a thing and tilted her body back, coiling herself and delivered a fierce kick to his face. His glasses shattered and he was sent flying into the ground. "Nice one," Naruto commented. He always liked seeing his princess in action. "Thank you," she replied. Kabuto got up and spat a bit of blood onto the ground, dropping his glasses as well since they were useless by now. Snap! A sickening crunch was heard through the field as Kabuto realigned his broken nose to its proper place. "Can you even see well enough to fight us?" Naruto asked since Kabuto was now without glasses. "If I channel chakra to my eyes I can see as good as a normal person," Kabuto explained bragging. "Don't count me out just yet," Kabuto replied grinning. Suddenly a huge shadow appeared next to Naruto and Hinata blocking the sun from them. It was a massive brown snake. The snake immediately slammed itself into the ground trying to squash them but they jumped aside evading it. "Looks like Orochimaru sent back up," Naruto replied smirking. "Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu, Dragon Fire Technique," Naruto said and sent a stream of fire towards the snake. She was engulfed by the fire and disappeared from view. Once the fire was gone the snake was still in the same place and it wasn't even scorched as the skin was too rough for such weak attack. Kabuto jumped on top of its head and the snake made her way towards Naruto and Hinata trying to eat them or squash them. It didn't make a difference in the end. The snake opened its mouth and expelled some semi-transparent liquid onto them. They jumped to the side and liquid hit the ground. "Poison," Hinata said and Naruto nodded. "Futon, Shinkuha, air blade," Hinata said and exhaled multiple wind blades that were sent towards the snake. The air blades didn't even waver as they hit the snake and sliced it up into multiple pieces making blood spurt all over the field. The snake disappeared in smoke as well all the blood. "Problem Kabuto?" Naruto asked chuckling as Kabuto scowled. "Kabuto," Orochimaru yelled from his side of the battle and Kabuto quickly shunshined next to his master. "Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique," Orochimaru said and traced a line of blood in the tattoo of his only working arm. Both Orochimaru and Kabuto were engulfed in smoke. Once the smoke cleared a rather large purple snake appeared. The snake was Manda, the boss summon of the Snake Clan and the strongest of them all. "Orochimaru, I want 100 sacrifices for summoning me," Manda said in his deep voice. "Of course," Orochimaru replied. "I can't summon Katsuyu, I've wasted too much chakra driving them here," Tsunade replied and Jiraiya nodded. "Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique," Jiraiya said and he too was enveloped in smoke. Seconds later he was standing on top of a very large orange toad. The toad was Gamabunta, the boss of the Toad Clan. "Manda and Orochimaru, they are faces I haven't seen in a while," Gamabunta said as he released a cloud of smoke from his pipe. "Let's end this," Jiraiya said and Gamabunta dashed towards the snake with his sword drawn. Gamabunta quickly reached them and tried to stab Manda. Manda simply opened his jaw and caught the blade in it. Gamabunta squirmed to try and get his blade free but it was in vain. Manda flexed his tail and tried to pierce Gamabunta making him flip backwards and leaving the sword in Manda's mouth. Manda instantly began sliding towards Gamabunta and threw the sword back at him. Gamabunta jumped to the side to evade the blade and the sword crashed into the ground burying itself. "You stay Bachan, I'm going to help Erosenin," Naruto said and jumped away from Tsunade, Shizun and Hinata. "What is he going to do?" Tsunade asked. "I don't know. He's very unpredictable," Hinata replied and they shifted their attention towards the Titans' battle. "Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique," Naruto yelled and slammed his hand on the ground. Manda and Gamabunta stopped their fighting to see just what exactly was coming to the battlefield. A big cloud of smoke rose from the ground blocking everyone's view of Naruto. Suddenly the air was pushed back like a shockwave due to the air displacement and everyone secured themselves not to get blown away. "Arr!" A massive roar erupted from the smoke that made the ground shook and the cloud of smoke to disperse. The figure was very big, almost twice the size of Gamabunta himself. It had orange fur, very sharp teeth and claws, blood-red eyes with a black slit and 9 tails swinging freely in his back. After 14 years the Kyuubi was once again unleashed upon the mortal realm. Kyuubi, Jiraiya stuttered and paled at the sight of the monstrous figure in front of him. Everyone else was in shock as they never expected a Jinchuriki to summon their bijou to a fight. Like the fresh air, Kurama? Naruto asked as he stood on top of Kurama's head. I do, it gives me a chance to stretch my legs, Kurama replied showing his foxy grin. Everyone could feel the strong and oppressive chakra coming out from the Kyuubi's body. I like challenges and all, but this is ridiculous, Manda said, not really looking forward to fighting a bijou and the Kyuubi of them all. Isn't the Kyuubi supposed to be, you know, in the seal? Jiraiya tried to come up with the right words not to piss the Kyuubi off. It seems logic to me that I can summon the Kyuubi, Naruto said. When you store items in a storage scroll, the items are moved to a pocket dimension created by the scroll. The hack no Fuin Shiki, 8 trigram seal, does the same thing and creates a more advanced pocket dimension and a few other things. The summoning technique is a space-time technique, and with the Kyuubi being the boss summon of the Fox clan, what did you expect to come out? Naruto rhetorically asked as Jiraiya was trying to piece everything together. He never looked at storage seals that way, but it made sense. The items in the storage seal had to go somewhere. And since the chakra doesn't flow through my coils when I summon him I don't die, Naruto explained, and Jiraiya dumbly nodded. Stand back, Naruto said, and Gamabunta jumped to the side. The Kyuubi was destructive without even trying, and he wouldn't want to be caught in the crossfire. Kurama, let's go, Naruto said, and both of them inhaled air into the lungs. Katon, fire stream, Kyuubi said, and expelled a stream of white-hot fire towards Manda. Futon, Renkuden, vacuum wind bullet, Naruto said, and expelled wind bullets that mixed with Kurama's fire, turning them into hot bullets that would pierce and melt everything in their path. Manda engulfed by the fire and the ground destroyed by Naruto's air bullets combined with Kurama's fire. The fire died down and the only remains was a piece of skin, meaning Manda had slipped away from their attack. Naruto focused his senses and felt chakra signatures beneath the ground. They hid underground, Naruto said, and Kurama jumped back in time to avoid Manda's tail bursting through the ground trying to stab Kurama. Manda emerged completely and Kurama roared, making the ground burst into rubble and Manda being thrown back. Manda got up from the ground and coiled, getting ready to pounce. Kurama flexed his tails and tried to flatten the snake, but Manda managed to slide his way through all of Kurama's attempts. Each time Kurama smashed his tail the entire field would shake from the power and pressure behind the swing. Manda rose up to bite him, but Kurama managed to swing a tail that hit Manda. However, instead of Manda being thrown back, the snake wrapped itself around Kurama's tail and tried to bite him again. Have a good lunch, Naruto said as 5 clones jumped into Manda's mouth. The clones instantly began to glow and exploded inside the snake's mouth. Manda fell to the ground with his jaw smoking. Damn brat, Manda hissed, couching or something similar. Goodbye Snakey, Amaterasu, Naruto said and looked towards Manda's head deep in concentration. Black flames erupted around Manda's head and the snake dropped to the ground rolling and hissing in pain. Orochimaru and Kabuto jumped away from his head and landed on the ground. Manda disappeared in smoke, meaning it went back his realm to heal. The snake disappeared, but the flames remained there, meaning Manda managed to get rid of them, which meant the snake was still alive. Kurama, end it, Naruto said and jumped out of his head. Okay, Kurama replied and brought all of his tails above his head. Red and blue chakra was seen floating in the air. Suddenly all the chakra bubbles condensed and formed a small perfect sphere. Kurama ate the chakra ball and Orochimaru raised an eyebrow. Bijidama, Kurama said, and a pure energy ball exploded from Kurama's mouth like a cannon, heading at high speed towards Orochimaru and Kabuto. Kabuto panicked and blurred through hand seals. He took a bit of Orochimaru's blood and slammed his hands in the ground. Kuchios, Sanju Rashomon, Kabuto said, and 3 very large defensive structures rose from the ground and stood in the path of the tailed beast bomb. The energy sphere connected with the Rashomons and exploded in a tunnel of energy. The entire field shook and everyone just stood in awe at the power of the strongest bijou. Doton, Doryuhiki, Earth Wall, Jiraiya said, and trapped himself along with everyone else inside an earth dome to survive the brutal and scorching winds unleashed by the attack. The energy eventually died down and the dust started to settle down, clearing the view of everyone. It was very clear the difference between a 4-tail Bijidama and a true bomb used by the bijou. What was once a pretty plain field with grass and flowers was now nothing more than a desert without a sign of life for miles. Everything was eradicated, leaving nothing to be seen but emptiness. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the sight of the attack, and he could see Orochimaru squirming in the ground trying to get up, and Kabuto was nowhere to be seen, most likely vaporized. Unbelievable, Jiraiya said in disbelief as he dropped the stone wall and gaped at the sight. It was the second time he had seen a tailed beast bomb, and the results still shocked. Looks like it's the end, Tsunade said, looking at Naruto walking towards Orochimaru, who was in the ground in pain. His whole body was a mess with broken legs and the clothes scorched as well, half of his face. This is the end, Orochimaru, Naruto said as he took the sword from his seal and channeled lightning chakra through it. Naruto was ready to cut the head of the snake and end it for good. "No, you can't kill me, I'm Orochimaru the Immortal," Orochimaru yelled in frustration as he looked towards Naruto and tried to crawl away. "Stay away," Orochimaru said in fear. "I never pegged you for a coward, Orochimaru, begging for your life. Pathetic," Naruto said and brought his sword up to cleave his head for good. Naruto was about to cleave Orochimaru's head when Kabuto bursted from the ground with his fist closed. Naruto saw right through him and jumped back to avoid it. Naruto was jumping back and placed his hands on the ground. Golden chains erupted near Kabuto and pierced him through both of his shoulders and ankles, pinning him to the ground. "Damn that Kabuto, always interrupting," Naruto said. Kabuto was in the ground, barely conscious, with blood dripping from his mouth. It looked like the tailed beast bomb did a fair amount of damage to him. "Amaterasu," Naruto said, and Kabuto's body erupted in flames. Kabuto tried to shake them off, but the chains held him in place, and the only thing he could was scream until he was dead and nothing more than ashes on the ground. 5 seconds later, Yakushi Kabuto was no more. "Damn brat, you will pay for what you've done," Orochimaru hissed and disappeared in smoke as the distraction had been enough for Orochimaru to shunshin away to safety. "Damn it, he got away. I had him, but his assistant had to interfere," Naruto yelled in frustration. Orochimaru invaded the leaf, tried to kill the Sandaime and summoned his family to do his beating, and once again he got away. "Don't worry, Naruto, at least we got his right-hand man," Jiraiya said, and Naruto sighed. There wasn't much more they could do. "I guess, but next time he won't get away," Naruto said. "I'm going, Kit," Kurama said, and Naruto nodded. "Thanks, Kurama," Naruto replied. This wasn't half bad. "Let's go to hotel to rest and pack for the journey home," Tsunade said, and everyone nodded. After the battle, everyone was mostly fine except a few scratches and broken ribs, but nothing life-threatening. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.